Hello and welcome to a new video. In today's video we will be trying out some more pens from ARRTX. As you can see, this is a smaller set of 30 colours. This is their skin tone set, so it is 30 pens of varying shades, different skin tones as the name suggests. The pens this time have the number actually printed on the base of the pen itself, which is so nice. I'm so glad they've started doing that. If you've seen these pens before, you know that they usually come with two sets of sticker labels where you have to put one on the end and then one round the barrel. This time you only have to do the barrel ones, which you don't even have to do if you don't want to, but I like to use them. So to start, I am swatching as usual, and you can see the range of colours here is quite a nice range. You get like a decent mix of dark and light colours, although I do think it is slightly more heavy on the lighter colours, and I would prefer some more like darker warm tones. We've got some nice dark colours, but I prefer having like warmer tone ones as well. For today's video I am going to be testing out these pens. I try to stick to just this set of pens as I usually do in most videos, but I do also include a couple pens from another set just to use like actual other colours that aren't just skin tone colours to add like clothing and stuff. So I really just wanted to draw some pretty girls for this video because it's just fun. I love drawing pretty girls and I think it's a great way to test the range of skin colours. I just get all the sketches of them all down first, and I will put the reference picture for each of the girls with the sketches. I'm just sketching with like a bog standard pencil. I think this is a 2HB. Yeah, an HB2, which is nothing fancy. It's like I always think of it as like a school pencil, like one that you would use during school. So yeah, this was just like a really fun video for me to just mindlessly draw some faces from reference. It was a good way as well to just practice different face structures. I was a little nervous because at this point in the video, I haven't been using acrylic markers that much lately. I've been using a lot of gouache, which has a very different mindset to acrylic markers. So the whole time I was doing this, I was very excited to use them, but I was also kind of nervous because my brain had been like rewired slightly to get back into using gouache. So there is a point at the beginning where I am just struggling, which you will see when I get to using the pens. But it's just an interesting thing to see how different mediums change the way your brain works when it comes to colouring things. So there wasn't really that much thought behind the placement of the heads. I mostly didn't want them like to be looking in the same direction, so I tried to place them where I felt they fit best on the page, but otherwise there wasn't that much planning, which is why the last girl's head is significantly smaller than the other girls. Anyway, with the drawings now done, I am moving on to the colouring. Like I said, because I've been using gouache, my colouring it felt a bit off, and I was also worried about like losing details. So usually what I do with these things is I put down an entire base colour and then I go in and add like shading and highlights on top of that afterwards. But for this, I was kind of trying to do it as I went, like add the details to each section, which was a bit of a struggle. So as you can see, I then kind of gave up and coloured most of the face in what I thought to be the mid-tone. This actually helped me a lot more. Like I said, it's my usual method of colouring, but it also helps me get over that like fear of a blank page. I also was blending the pens quite a bit, which I find these pens can handle quite well. As long as you like clean the nib off on a scrap piece of paper after you're done, it doesn't really damage or ruin the colour of the pen at all. I then tried to blend with my finger in large areas because I wasn't entirely happy with how my blending was going, and I hated how that looked. It made this gross texture, I think because these pens dry quite quickly, so it kind of was then just me smushing around like thick globules of paint kind of thing. Like, I don't know how to describe the texture, but it makes sense in my head. I just don't know how to describe it. I hated how that looked. So I didn't really want to do like block colouring, or I don't know what you call that method where it's not blended. I didn't want to do that initially because I thought that wouldn't really look nice, but after doing that finger blending, that is kind of where I then decided to just go, because I thought this needs to be fixed. We'll just do the block colouring and just blend a little bit out here and there with the pens rather than my finger, and it ended up working a lot better. I also had the issue of, and this happens with any piece, because I started with the skin first, it always looks wrong because it is surrounded by white, because you haven't added any of the other tones or values to the piece. So I was struggling with her face a lot because of that, and as I slowly started adding more colour and removing more and more of the white blank spaces, her face started to come together a lot better. All the colours that looked out of place, all the bits that I thought were too dark or too light, started to blend in or look the way it was meant to look. And a big part of that is from when I add the hair. That really helps. And this was all done with the colours from this set. I will point out when I'm using colours from a different set so you can tell. My goal was to try and just use these pens as much as possible, so a lot of the shading and the hair colour and stuff is from this set. I think that kind of says a lot in favour for these pens, that I could get away with doing basically all of these girls' hair colours as well as the skin colour from just the pens in this set. I think they did a great job in choosing the colours. Again, I would love more darker warm toned colours, but that's just a personal preference. Maybe if they did some like bigger sets, then you'd get more. But there are also a lot of pens in this that are featured in other sets of theirs, so if I really wanted to, I could just grab some pens from their other sets. But as a standalone skin tone set, I think it's really good. I think it stands really well on its own. Obviously, I would personally recommend this as being like a companion to another set of pens, because, you know, it doesn't have like blues or greens or like bright reds in it. So really, you're just limited to the skin tones. So yeah, I think it works really nicely as a companion set. So now moving on to the second face. An issue I had with basically every single one of these faces is they all go through a really bad ugly phase, and it was very disheartening every time that I would start a new one and then the ugly phase would happen. I was like, oh, I've made a mistake. Why am I making this video? I can't do this. But then I would keep going, and again, once you add the other colours that ground it more, I was like, oh, okay, no, I'm just overreacting. That was just the ugly phase, and I got through it. But the funny thing is, like, no matter how many times I went through that process, I still would think that for the next one and then the next one. It was just kind of amusing. This blue here is from a different set. You can see this was not part of the skin tone set. I wanted to use it to give her blue eyes because this girl had blue eyes and there is no blue in the set, so yeah, I grabbed one from a different box. There are quite a few paler colours in this set, but also strangely I think I'm always going to have the issue of there's never enough, because I can't be pleased apparently. What I mean by that is there can always be more. I'll always be like, oh, it would be nice if there was another shade. That doesn't mean that there isn't a good range in this, it just means I'm fussy. You know, I'm an artist who is always like, oh, this is good, but you know, so I just take everything I say with a grain of salt, you know. I complain about a lot of things, I think, and sometimes that is purely just me being fussy and nitpicky, and it's not even as bad as I say. So moving on to the third girl, this is the one that I thought I'd have the most problems with, because as I keep mentioning, I feel like this set could do with more darker warm tone colours. This girl is why I was the most worried about it, because she has very, very warm tones in her skin, but I gave it a go, and as I was doing it I was like, you know what, it might be fine. Like, again, as I was saying a minute ago, I'd always like more. But I think actually with the blending and with the ones they have given you, you can make it work. I think I made her work. I think I made it work for the most part, although I do think my one is a slightly lighter version of the girl in the picture. So I do think it's doable. I just think she's not as darker toned as she could have been. That could just be that I didn't use the pens I had the best, or it could be because, like I was saying, I always want more colours. But yeah, I think she turned out alright. As for her lips, I think because she is wearing a lipstick in the reference image, that was something I had to use a pen from my other set for. This girl is also wearing blue makeup with like gold stars and stuff on her face, so I had to use my other set for that as well, because this doesn't have like makeup colours in it. There were barely any pens that I had to take from another set, so I think that's really good. This girl probably ended up being my favourite of the ones that I did. I think that could in part be because she has more going on, because she has like this really nice makeup and then she also has earrings, but I do also think it's because of how her hair turned out. She has very, very dark hair in the picture, but I went with a slightly lighter brown. I didn't go for the darkest pen that I had as a base, as a complete coverall, and then later I go over it with the darkest pen that I have, and it creates a really nice shiny gloss, which I really like. Also, you may have noticed on the previous girls, I used, well, on the first girl and this girl, I used one of the pens that came in this set, which is like a dark kind of purplish, maroon purple. I used that as a kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's the back layer of their hair. I really liked the look of it being flat. I think it gives it a really strange stylistic choice, and having it be this colour I think makes it stand out more. If it had been maybe like a blue one, maybe that would have been better, but I wanted to try and stick to these pens, as I said. And then on the second girl, I used a pen from a different box because there wasn't I think that purple would have been too dark, and I wanted to use this blue because I thought it would complement the platinum hair a bit better. But yeah, it's just something I did with all of the girls that I really like, and I think it looks really interesting to have such like a flat colour next to their faces, which I tried to make look 3D. and like rendered or whatever. So I just really like the contrast of that. I'm really sorry the camera keeps getting blurry. I had no idea that it kept going out of focus, so I'm really sorry about that. Hopefully it's not too bothersome, but yeah, I'm sorry. With this last girl, she has very pale skin, and I think my biggest issue was the pencil was showing through a lot. I would layer the colours several times to try and cover the ghosting of the pencil, but unfortunately it's still showing through a bit, and that's probably my only issue with these lighter pens, is that they don't cover like pencil very well, which makes sense, you know, because it's a really pale colour and the pencil is dark in comparison, but I'm not sure why like it doesn't come out more opaque. I don't really know, you know, maybe it's something to do with how the pens are made, and I'm just being nitpicky again. Yeah, so there's a fair bit of pencil showing through on this last girl's face, which makes me wish I'd rubbed out her face a bit before I'd started, but because I hadn't done it on any of the others, I thought it would be fine. That's my bad. Oops. Yeah, so I did the same thing with this girl's hair as I did on the previous girls, and I really like how it turned out. I actually think the hair was the most fun for me with all of these girls. There was just something so fun about the different types of hair, and I love how they turned out. But now that they are all done, I really wanted to give this a fun background, so I'm using a pen from another box. I wanted it to be blue, mostly I think because of the third girl's reference picture. She had a blue background and I thought it looked really nice, so I went ahead and did that. And then to make it a little bit more interesting, I also added these red starburst explosion things, and I think it just looks really nice compared to the detail that these girls have, having such a simple background. And I could have left the background white, like it did look nice, but I feel like they stand out a lot more with this background, and I just really like it. So yeah, I am really happy with how this turned out. Like I said, there were so many points where I was just like, what am I doing? This is a mess, but I like it. I think it was a great practice, and I think it shows that there is like a nice range with just these 30 pens. Pleasantly surprised. Looking at the swatch sheet like this, it doesn't really give you an accurate idea of like how they can actually be used together. You can get a lot of range by using them together and blending them. It was very interesting, very fun to do. I hope you enjoyed it. Link to these pens will be in the description down below if you're interested to check them out. I want to say a big thank you to ARRTX for sending me these pens. A big thank you if you've made it this far in the video, and also a massive thank you to my Patreons: Disby, Finn Carter, Grimclow, The Waffle of Life, Non-Toxic, Saint Nix, LP, Kira May, Kay, Joanna, Mila, Pretty Rotten, R.A. Foxy, Joanna Snake Moon, Humble Frogs, Local Fishkeeper, Mold Ghoul, Farrar Ware, Sun Arts, Molly Marula, Scout Radley, Sammy Bear 127, Kenzania, Jade S, Arrow, Charlie, Malorus, Balmora Blues, Cindy King, Art by Lavender, Angel of the Woods, Rainbow Tea, Breaded Nuggets, Learns, Human Eye, The Moss Bug, Knox, Catbird House, The Tormented Shadow, Sweet and Hopeless, Pocket, The Coffee Rain, Black Jackal Art, Leela Loves You, Halachu, Faith, A. Wendu, Cososcobs, Wolf and Wares, Ronnie, Olivia Gadbor, Heather F, Cheris Needham, Rotting Lettuce, Binixery, Cyrus Orion, Lolo, Brianna McGraw, Malbon Designs, Gamut Girl, Dodo, Catberry Studio, Solar Tortoise, Venom Horror, Auden, Red S Lily, Hayley, Sienna G, Stephanie, Lady Ratbird, Clown, Fear, Greenfinch G Illustration, Lynn, Cody, Pobbles, Kaleidoscope Arm, Cloud, Cleo, Redders, Ziutka, Chelsea Amson, Beetle Ghost, Artsy Ghost, Melisandre Sinclair, Bria Washington, Hurrier, June, Dakota Garcia, Manon, Perpy, Lily Likes Art, Valent Dykes, Rona, Quill, Malin, I Am a Yertle, Levi, and Kira's Cozy Corner. Thank you guys so much for all of your support, and I'm currently working on another video, so that will hopefully be out for you guys soon.